not all feedback is revenue generating. So to find that right balance between keeping your user personas engaged with your product and at the same time develop something that can also generate revenue for the company is a challenge for every product manager out there. But it's what forms the two pillars of what your product management thought process should be around. It's all about knowing where to put a stop, how to set your boundaries. When you're passionate about something that you do, it's very easy to oversee, I'm working too much or I'm working way beyond. It's imperative that you are aware about certain marketing skills like your market research or communicating with your customers, understanding their pain points, identifying user personas or segmentation. It's really beneficial for someone to have that insight, in a marketing role.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing Over Chai. Today I'm talking to Ketaki Chande, a marketer who made the jump to product management. We worked together for a while in a business consulting firm where, besides doing a lot of marketing, we cracked a lot of dad jokes. Welcome, Ketaki. I'm very happy to have you here on Marketing Over Chai. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I'm very happy to have you here. And so, Ketaki, before we start, first things first, what's your power engine drink? Mine is green tea today. What is yours?
Mine is a nice cup of cappuccino. I like that. It gives me that boost that I really need to kick off the day.
Full power, full engine. I love it.
Yeah.
So, let's begin. Can you tell us a little bit about your career journey and what led you to transition from marketing to product management?
Okay. So I started my career journey in sales. I was having like a digital product sales role. And from then on, I transitioned to marketing, where I spent like a couple of years. And then I transitioned to product management, in which I am currently working as a product owner with a logistics company. To be very honest with you, the transition from sales to marketing was a very conscious one because I knew I wanted to work in marketing and explore that area. And so that was a conscious choice of me moving from a sales role to a marketing role. But the transition from marketing to product was purely incidental. And there's a story behind it. So in 2020, I got hired as a marketing manager for a logistics company, and I was just 3 months into the role, and COVID hit. It sort of put everyone. It threw a curveball to everyone, right? So companies pivoted, and my company was one of them, and they decided to go from a service-based positioning to a SaaS product positioning. And so there was very little scope on what I had to do in marketing. And so I was offered a chance to work in product. And so I was literally a part of all these meetings. And at the same time, studying Udemy courses of what a product management does, like what does that entail. And so that was my introduction to the journey of becoming a product manager, and that's how I kind of got into it and discovered this side of product management, and thankfully I loved it. And I really haven't looked back since. So yeah, that's my journey in a nutshell.
I love that. And I feel like the two roles are very similar. Like a lot of what marketing does and what is often not really talked about is really getting to know, understand the product, create those feedback loops. So there is a very strong skill set which is definitely transferable, and there's definitely a role that especially if you're in a smaller organization, you definitely play that role as a marketer, but you don't like completely manage it. I guess that would be the additional huge thankless task that you would be taking on, which I think is very challenging and therefore also very fulfilling. So yeah, tell us about what marketing skills have been most transferable and valuable in your role as product manager.
Yeah, I mean, apart from, I think, the technical side of product management, it's imperative that you are aware about certain marketing skills like, market research or communicating with your customers, understanding their pain points, identifying user personas or segmentation, all these, like it's really beneficial for someone to have that insight, in a marketing role, and that would be like a huge value addition during their transition to product management.
I can see that. I can imagine that. And which one did you enjoy more, if I may ask?
I know this is a marketing over chat podcast,
No,
so
it's fair.
yeah, I think, there's aspects of both that I would say I've enjoyed. When I talk about speaking to customers or doing market research, it's essentially a marketing role, or that mm, kind of responsibility that I enjoyed more in marketing. But
Mm-hmm.
in product management, I've enjoyed more of the problem solving aspect, or, the solutioning part of it. So yeah, I would say a bit of both, if
Uh-huh.
I'm being diplomatic.
But I guess it's true, right? Because you've loved what you did in both roles. But the
Yeah.
reason I ask is because there are a lot of people who have been laid off or looking to switch from marketing, and just so that they get like an understanding of what the feel is like in another role, especially when this is not something a typical marketer would think of, right? But it's something that is very adjacent and very reflective of what the skill sets are. So
Yeah.
that's where I was coming from. I'm going to move into the next segment, which is our icebreaker. So I'm going to throw like 5 or 6 questions at you, rapid fire style, and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready, Ketaki?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I was a night owl. Now I'm a morning person thanks to my 7-year-old.
Postal change. Do you have a hobby that helps you unwind?
I love to read fiction novels. So yeah, that really helps me, get off work and get into a lighter mindset.
Do you have a favorite author?
I have many, but yeah, who stuck to me is J.K. Rowling. I can always go back to her Harry Potter series, and
Oh,
it's my mood.
I love that. I have a friend who recently moved to Edinburgh to study, and she's in the Harry Potter, like where they shot it. So I was like, wow, I have to come visit you now.
Oh yeah,
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I'm living there right now, Canada. So
Yay!
yay. But still, if I had to pick, maybe New Zealand.
Oh, interesting. Best piece of marketing advice you've ever received?
When something becomes overwhelming or complex, always go back to the basics. The basics generally have all the answers.
Yeah, spoken like my dad. He says that all the time. What's the strangest marketing request or product management request you ever received?
Okay, so I was designing a mailer once for a client, and he said to me, I'm picturing this in my head, and I know you can't see it, but can you still do it like this? And I'm like, okay, let me try.
That is so funny. Oh, yeah, you need some like major telepathy. But how did it turn
I
out?
it wasn't, but I told him, this is the best that we can do. So he had to
That's
roll
fair.
with it.
That's fair. What's something you're really passionate about right now?
I'm passionate about two things, Kate. One is, product management. I love working on new features, new products. So that's something that I really want to do over and over again. And the other thing I'm passionate about is spreading awareness about endometriosis. It's a condition that affects 1 in 10 women. So the idea is to just let more and more people know about it.
Yeah. I love the work that you do for that, and I think there is a very big need to spread more awareness on that situation. And at the end, we'll come back to that. And
Yeah,
I want the world to know what you do there, and there's definitely need for that.
sure.
But let's move to the next section, which is the state of the industry and the challenges. So, how do you approach product development, and what role does customer feedback play in this process?
Well, customer feedback is like one aspect of product development, and I would say a pretty important one, because that's where your ideally your roadmap, your product, the way that you are going to define your product should move that way. So it's essential that you keep going back to that always whenever you push out any new feature or new product. It's essential to get a sense of whether your users are finding it useful, if they have any hiccups, and then, align your priorities in order to resolve them. But yeah, I mean, customer feedback one side, and then, there is the business aspect of it as well, that not all feedback is revenue generating. So then to find that right balance between keeping your user personas engaged with your product and at the same time develop something that can also generate revenue for the company is something that, I think the challenge for every product manager out there. But yeah, it's what forms the two pillars of what your product management thought process should be around.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For us, I think in marketing, it's more like a listening in and, identifying those gaps in the market. But I think for you, it's a bigger responsibility because it's not just knowing, but also doing and managing that delicate balance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why it's essential that you do both, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons why you tend to rely on not just what the work that you do, but also your other departments in kind of supporting what you do. So it's never a one person job, and it's always working with multiple departments to ensure that we're keeping everyone on the same page, and then going forward with your roadmap.
Earlier this summer, I launched my marketing and communications consulting business. Since then, I've launched a website, I've ran a social media summer campaign, and shared that entire journey online on LinkedIn. If you could use some help sharpening your brand or leveling up your social media, please reach out to me. I would love to work with you. You can reach out to me by emailing me at marketingoverchai@gmail.com. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you so much. Your support means a lot to me. And now let's get back to the episode. So, speaking of working with multiple departments, I think like cross-functional collaboration would be at the heart of what you do. How do you manage collaborating between different teams? You've got engineering, you've got design, you've got marketing, and you've got the C-suite and the board with their, different, and everyone's got their own perspective, everyone's got their own KRAs, everyone's working towards the same goal, but has different things to watch out for, right? So how
Yeah.
do you manage all of that while, trying to get a product launched, for example?
It's tricky. I'll be very honest with you. It's tricky because as you correctly pointed out, everyone has their own priorities, and
Mm-hmm.
and but at the end of the day, it's how you prioritize what what that product or what that feature is delivering, sets in order how you kind of interact with these departments as well. So if you can get them to see your vision or your thought process and reasoning around it, it kind of makes it easier. I wouldn't say it's still 100% smooth, but it's like trying to create that win-win situation for everyone. And it in the at the end of the day, you're working towards a company goal. Like you're all coming together to achieve that same goal. It may sort of fall out in those smaller goals, but eventually it all comes down together when it's that one big goal, and so people tend to get on board. People tend to understand when things don't go the way they want.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you can always come back and you can always give them importance going forward in the next step or in the next feature. So there's ways you got to balance, but it's just I feel that ensuring that communication throughout of what you're doing, why you're doing it, helps people understand the goal better.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for us also, like we work cross-functionally for like everything that we do. And
Yeah.
one of the main things that allow that to happen is complete transparency on what's happening. And it's difficult to manage because especially if you're a publicly traded company or something, there's a lot of information that is confidential and that can't really go out there, even within
Mm.
the organization. But just keeping everyone informed about what the progress is, where we're going, how we're doing it, why we're not doing certain things. Because the challenge as marketing people we face is that everyone thinks they know how to do it, right? And of course, as a marketer, you know that
Yeah.
there is a science behind all that reasoning. So yeah, just keeping informed on what we're doing and what we're not doing and why had been a big game changer for me in dealing with cross-functional roles. And then it's also the thing about personalities, right? Like, it's not just the business priorities that you're looking at. Like, there's people
Oh
as
yeah.
well. And
100% true. It's like you gotta know the the right chord to strike that will make that person click with you.
yeah, that is something that only comes with experience,
True.
at least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, that search bit that you mentioned in the beginning, which is again another area that we share in common. How do you conduct market research and incorporate those insights into product strategy?
Okay. Because I work in a B2B product environment, my research is more qualitative than quantitative.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because my sample size is lesser. It's more of direct interactions and direct feedback. So it's more of a qualitative research. And so what I rely more on when it comes to data is directly insights that are driven from the data, and so it's like a fine balance of those measurable or quantifiable aspects of that feedback versus certain qualitative research that's more of it's more of the broader aspects of products, like how did you feel, what was the delight factor, what was
Okay.
something that didn't gel well with you, which is hard to gauge from data in it as such. So yeah, for the quantitative, I rely more on insights, and for the qualitative, it's more of these interviews and communication feedback loops that I get, that I sort of make my analysis on.
Yeah, like we had in one of the earlier episodes, Wayne talk about how the best thing any brand manager or any marketer, and I think it's true for product guys as well, is like just have those continuous conversations with your end customer, because
Yeah,
that's the only way you get to know of what's really happening and what their real pain points are.
true.
Surveys don't always capture, people don't
No,
always, write up what the real issue is, but it's only when you are on ground and you see what's happening, or
true,
you
true.
have those conversations and you understand where they're coming from, is when you can plug those gaps.
Yeah, and I think just to add here, along with in this case marketing and product, I feel sales also plays a very important role, because talking to salespeople, you get to understand things that maybe even at a more mature conversation you wouldn't have encountered with your prospects or customers, right? So it's those key feedbacks that even the salespeople that share that can add certain really good insights to your research.
Oh yes, 100%. I think that if there's somebody who has their like finger on the pulse, it's definitely
Oh
sales.
yeah, yeah, true.
It's
So true.
definitely sales. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you transitioned from marketing to product and in product itself?
I guess not having the right kind of experience can be, and what I've heard is a big hurdle for someone making the transition to product.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one that I personally faced was not having that knowledge, of terminologies or processes or technologies that are being used, right? So, and I think because having gone through that transition from sales to marketing and marketing to product, I didn't face that much during my sales to marketing because I had an education in marketing, so I was aware of those nuances. And transitioning into product, I had to learn that. I had to get more into depth, and through which I relied on courses online. But I think now we're in that space where just knowing about things isn't enough. I think you, even if you don't have that right experience or not having worked in product management before, if you really want to transition into that, someone could just build their own portfolio, right? I mean, essentially, what does me being or me working in that product manager give me that edge is that I've worked on products. I can justify how I have gotten a change by improving the product from what it was a year back to what it is now. And I think someone can do that even with any of the products that are readily available to them. It could be something as simple as you develop a new feature for Instagram. Why do you
Mm-hmm.
think that? What would help it? Just follow the same process of what a product manager at Instagram would do,
Mm-hmm.
and just introduce a feature and showcase that in your portfolio. And that could be like a good enough way to compensate for not having that experience,
Mm-hmm.
to show that, although I don't, here I know what to do and I know how this needs to be done. And this is one example of how I've showcased that. So that's one of the way that someone who's not who's looking to transition into product management space, not having an experience, can start off with.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I might work on one of those myself.
Sure, let me know how that goes.
I will. So yeah, how steep was the learning curve and what resources and strategies helped you in adapting to the role?
It was steep because, I mean, when I was learning, I had learned a bit about product management in my education, in my
Yeah.
MBA education, but it was a very small part of it. And when you actually start working on it, you understand that there's a lot more to it. But thankfully now we have an abundance of online courses. There's LinkedIn Learning, there's
Mm-hmm.
Coursera, there's Udemy, so many platforms that have so many product courses that someone can take up just to familiarize themselves with how the process is. And then there are also platforms that offer mentorship, to this. So, right in here in Toronto, there is a Toronto Product Managers Association. So they
Nice.
have, I think it's every month, one, or I'm not sure, but some Thursday they have sessions and they pick up topics, and they host a place down there where students, experienced professionals can go in. They can listen to these from seasoned professionals. They can listen to these, talks, and at the same time they can also network and like-minded professionals who are probably in that same space or different space, and then leverage those connections to find some inroads to it. So I think these are two very good ways of ensuring that your learning curve isn't as steep as it used to be a few years back. So if you can find such ways to leverage these resources, yeah, that would really make a big difference.
That's a very good tip. In fact, to like just put yourself out there, and the only way you can become an expert at anything is like one, trying, and two, educating yourself, and
Yeah.
three, putting yourself with people who are actually doing what you want to do, because then their experience and their knowledge kind of tends to rub off on you, and the
True.
energy kind of you get the drive to do more, to do well.
True.
uh yeah, I've learned that when like I wanted to start, like when I've started this consulting journey, like the more I've interacted with consultants like myself, the more you know, two heads are better than one, and a whole association is definitely better than one. And like the amount of
Yeah.
learnings that have come from it, and the amount of encouragement and support, it's been very, very encouraging, and very yeah, it's helped. It really helps stay focused.
That's great.
Yeah. So we move on to the next section, which is trends and the future of product management. So Tell us, what are some of the emerging trends in product management that you are excited about, and how do you see them shaping the future of the industry?
There's the one trend I think that's not just taking product, but every sort of area by wind is that AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI and the ever changing technology around it, right? So it's almost as if you don't need to build anything from scratch anymore. You want to do something, there's already a company that is doing that for you. So you want to build reporting for your system, just plug in, just plug in this AI. It can read your data and it can generate whatever report that you want. And that I think that's something that I am really excited about, because to be able to go through all of that and give the kind of insights that AI is giving today, in terms of behavioral aspects, in terms of financial aspects, in terms of prediction analysis. It's something that I think is going to really take us a step forward in all the products that we encounter going forward. So yeah, I really see that, and I'm excited about the kind of difference that it's going to make in the products that we're already using. I mean, just to give you an example, I've used Microsoft Teams in all of the organizations, and I've seen it literally changing. Now, you attend a meeting and it gives you the transcript, and it can summarize stuff for you. It's just taken it a step further, and I think that's what emerging technologies are doing it for all the products out there. It's really helping it taking a notch ahead.
Yeah, and it's taking, at the moment, it's taking a lot of like the grunt work. So that kind of like frees you up to do so much more. Like from a design perspective, for example, I remember when I learned Photoshop, which was like when I was in college 20 years ago, I think. No, not that much, or 15 years ago. It was hard and it was time consuming and it was very
Yeah,
boring. Even to do
yeah,
something as simple as just like take off a background from a picture, like it
yeah,
wasn't perfect. And
yeah.
today, with not even Photoshop, with Canva, the click of a button, it does like a fantastic job.
Hmm.
So because of that, like, I mean, that was one of the reasons I didn't become a designer, because I was like, I'll just be stuck clicking on this thing for like forever. I can't do this. But yeah, had
Yeah,
I been born a little later,
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
frees you up to do so much more.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I remember one of your podcast episodes. I remember you mentioning, you tell ChatGPT that this is what I want to do. So break it up into steps and
oh yeah,
help me do that, right? So
yeah,
I think that's such a great use of leveraging that technology and letting it do the grunt work and leaving the creative work to us, right?
yes. And it's also like we're in control of it at the end of the day. It's not
Yeah,
controlling us. So even if I
yeah,
ask it for reports, I am not going to trust it at all.
yeah.
I will
True.
make sure I do my own research and
Yeah.
my own homework. But when it comes to like things that I don't like doing, like organizing my
Hmm.
time, like I wish I was, doing well enough to just have a PA and a social assistant.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I find very hard to like, especially when I was like right now starting the podcast. There's a lot of new tasks that I didn't really know how
Yeah.
long it takes. So it was
Yeah.
very hard to plan my day not knowing, and that was driving me crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
ChatGPT came to the rescue.
ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very helpful and like,
Yeah.
like yeah, it is. It isn't
But
like
you know what? I think that's going to be the distinction of you being your most at your most best performing capability.
Mhm.
It's today's need that you do outsource this grunt work to them. It's important that you need to know how to make these AI tools work for you, because otherwise you are just going to be doing that yourself and you're behind. And someone who knows how to use them effectively and save them time is going to be one step ahead of you always. So
Mhm.
it is like, there's this saying that I've heard a lot many time in these product interactions that I've been to. because this concern comes up a lot, is AI going to take over product management? Because now there are tools that write PRDs. So why is there a need for PMs? But the reality is that it's not going to take over, but you're going to be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI, right?
Absolutely.
As a PM, you need to know how to use AI and make it work for you, and ensure that you perform at your best level otherwise.
Yeah, it will take away like certain jobs that uh are not are contributing differently. Like for example, the first ever job I had was back in India as a writer, and we had to shorten news articles so that they fit into an RSS feed. Now, when I told somebody over here, like, what was your first job? And I said, this is what I did. And they're like, oh my God, you're ChatGPT 1.0. So I would see things like that,
Yeah,
just those kind of processes
yeah,
becoming redundant. But when those are redundant, there's energy and talent to put into something bigger and better.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's going to be this constant improvement in
True.
what people do,
Yeah,
rather than like I mean, the layoffs are just like temporary until like you
yeah,
realize that, oh, now I've got this and I need to figure this out, right?
yeah.
So yeah,
And but you know what? I don't think it's also reached that stage where
not yet.
it can make it redundant. You still need to check,
Oh yeah,
is it right summary? Is it, do you need to tweak it,
yes,
or you're gonna give that your personal touch, so
yes,
someone knows it's coming from you, right? So
yes.
yeah,
And you can read like what's not human, right? Because you're delving into like these,
yes,
and you're thrilled about that, and it's like these very common chat GPT alert words that uh come out, right? And everyone knows that's what it is, and nobody's reading
true,
them.
true.
So yeah. So on that note, like, how do you think tech innovations will influence your approach to product management?
Approach, if I have to talk about approach, it's more of being aware of these technologies, being
Hmm.
aware of what's changing around you, and ensuring you get on that train, right? So
Hmm.
if there's something that's come up that can be detrimental for your business, even though you're not using it, even though you're not leveraging it, for you to know about it is what will help you take that decision of whether you need to include that, or inculcate that in your product process or not. So I mean, it's a faster decision making process, that okay, I know these things, and now I just have to decide whether I'm going to implement it or not. So I think that's where I see it influencing. But yeah, the control still lies with you.
Yes. And that's what keeps everything aligned, I think, right? Like, as long as you have that.
Yeah.
So we move on to our next segment, which is my favorite, and it's about work-life balance and personal passions. So Ketaki, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your work-life balance as? 10 being the best.
My God, can I say 6?
You can say 1 if you like. No judgment here.
6. I would say 6 is a fair rating.
Getting there.
I strive to be better, but I'm still at 6.
But that is also your perception, right? That you can do more. Like it's
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's how you see it, or like what
Yeah.
it's measured against your own ideal and not
True.
a
True.
society benchmark, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So from what I see from the outside, it seems like you have a very balanced approach. So how do you manage that with such a dynamic role?
I think it's all about knowing where to put a stop, how to set your boundaries, and because it's when you're passionate about something that you do, it's very hard to or it's very easy to sort of oversee that, oh, I'm working too much, or I'm working way beyond my working hours, and which is fine when the situation demands of it, but it can become tricky to then balance your personal life. So setting those boundaries in place, putting a hard stop around it, is or consciously even taking up leave, right? So
Yeah.
although you know that there's some work that needs to be done, but just setting some time aside for you to give to your family, I think that kind of would help work-life balance more.
For me, coming here to Canada, like one of the things I had to like mentally rewrite was
Mhm.
the fact that it's okay to take a holiday or to take leave or to take a vacation. Because there were just so many experiences in India where you applied and you were told like, but there's this launch or
Yeah,
there's, this going on, and or you were given it with like a not very happy boss. And even though it was like these are the things that you were entitled to, uh,
yeah,
it wasn't really encouraged in a couple of the places that I worked. There was some where it was, but in some it
Mhm.
wasn't. And so rewriting that in my head and like, just learning that it's okay to do
Yeah.
that and it's fine. That was a change that I had to make.
I know it's I think, and it's these small things that throughout life it's important that we unlearn and relearn continuously.
Yes.
You need to keep changing that definition of what works for you, right?
Mhm.
And that keeps changing over time because your priorities are different at every stage. So yeah, I mean that's a great way to put it, right? You
Mhm.
kind of need to rewire to
Mhm.
set those priorities in place.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like not enough importance is given to the things I need to unlearn, especially with the move. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's something I should like really think about and maybe like do a focused episode or something on because there's a bit of quite a bit of those nuances actually now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. So anyway, I digress. Kirki, what keeps you motivated and passionate about your work?
Problem, pain points. It does, like, I mean, it may it may sound very odd, and I've gotten these reactions because I've had stakeholders coming to me saying, there's this problem, and I'm like, yay, that's something I can work on. And they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way, but it's because that's one of the key things that I like about product management is you get to have solutions for people. You get to put in place features that can really ease someone's work, and that really keeps me motivated, saying that okay, yes, now this is something new that I can work on. There's some new challenge that I can take, some new pain point problem that I can solve. So that's what keeps me motivated.
Yes, solving a problem is definitely a dopamine hit. But
Yeah.
then that kind of goes so well with your personality also because you're somebody who naturally likes to help. Like,
Yeah, I
so,
never thought of it that way, but yeah, yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So, what's the favorite product that you worked on and why?
So I've mostly worked on B2B products. So when I say B2B, it's mostly designing products that are used by other companies and not like, directly consumers, the end consumers. But there's one B2C product that I worked on was Asan Checkout, which is like one-click checkout.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was we tried to replicate what Amazon does with, like a single, you swipe it and the order is placed.
Mm-hmm.
So Amazon had a patent on that process till 2017, and then they never renewed that patent. So it's like anyone could do that. And so I was a part of a team that actually developed that one-click checkout process, and it's my favorite because I got that feeling that even I can do something like that and develop something in the likes of what Amazon did, and that really helped boost my confidence and in my abilities of what I could do as a product manager.
I love that. That's such a beautiful story, Ketaki. So, outside of work, what is it that you do to unwind and how do you spend your time?
So I read books sometimes, and that really helps me unwind and relax. But other than that, I also make it a point to spend time with family. I ensure that we go on walks. Canada has some really nice parks, so going on walks with my kid and inventing games with him.
Oh,
Random games that we play, so that really helps me unwind and let go of that stress from work.
yeah. And speaking of walks, if you haven't checked out the Don Valley, the Rouge Hill Park yet, you have to do it this fall. It's beautiful.
Okay, I'm gonna note that after the call. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll
thanks for the
send you.
tip.
That's like the
Yeah.
best. That's one of the best. Even Oakville has some really good ones, but
Mm.
that's one of the best. So,
Ah,
and there's
wow,
also a
thanks for that
fall
tip.
color tracker. I don't know if you use that,
No.
but okay, I'll send you a link to that. It just helps you know, like in Toronto, which area has the colors, and you can just go to that for
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
This is my favorite season for a walk. This and spring.
Yeah.
Just
So
yeah,
beautiful.
so beautiful. I remember the first year that I came here, I would just walk near some trees and just stand there like teary because I was like, damn it, man, this is just so beautiful. Like it was like
Yeah.
a very overwhelming moment. And yeah, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like just going for a
Yeah.
walk here is fantastic.
It is. It is.
So we move to another very important part of the show, and that's like where I ask my guests to talk about something that they are passionate about and something that they that they do. Knowing you for a while, I know the work that you've done with endometriosis and how you've helped people. And I know your own journey has been a very, very powerful and inspiring one. So the floor is yours, Ketki. Tell us about it and tell us what you do now.
Okay. So, thanks. This is really close to my heart because it's something that I've been through, and just to let everyone know
Yeah.
what it's about, endometriosis is a painful condition that affects one woman out of every 10 women, and it's associated to painful periods, right? So it's a condition that's really hard to diagnose, especially because of one being the stigma around periods, and second, the overall inability of a woman to express how this is different. No, I wouldn't say, I correct myself. It's not the inability of the woman to express, but it's not being taken seriously when you say that you have painful periods, right? So it's that lack of awareness that, even painful periods are not normal as a part of your daily life. It's not supposed to be, and you're supposed to take medical attention for that. So just creating that awareness about this topic is something that I've tried time and over doing that. And where it gets tricky is that it affects differently for different women. And there's so many layers around it. What's your age? What geographical conditions are you in? How much is stress affecting your lifestyle? And the sad part of it is there's no cure around it. So it's just something that women have to manage or make lifestyle changes. And it gets to a point where if someone is not going through this, understanding how they feel or understanding how you feel becomes a very lonely journey. So what I've tried to
Mm-hmm.
do as a part of spreading awareness is just talking to these women, right? Talking to them and hearing them out, and just trying to console them that these are some of the things that you can do, and these are possibly the list of medical professionals that I know of that you can visit, and just that there's light at the end of the road, right? So um being such a tricky condition, and not having the medical knowledge to tackle it in a more efficient way, I am looking to do something more substantial around it, right? I
Mm-hmm.
haven't yet really come across or even thought of what I want to do or how I want to take this forward. But for
Mm-hmm.
now, like, I'm just trying to be there for them, be that listening ear for them, and just to let you know that you're not alone. This is something that is definitely heard and understood, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. And that's beautiful and that's very important. Like because like a lot of people I know, and even myself included, like your pain is kind of minimized sometimes when it's a bit more. They're like, oh, you should do something about it, or like people don't always understand what's happening, and like there are it's hard to explain also, right? Because you don't like pain is very difficult to explain in general.
Yeah.
Uh, you know what someone would rate as a 10, it'd be like, oh, you have a low intolerance, or like you don't really people don't really know how to interpret that, right? There's no
Yeah.
definite understanding there. So yeah, I think what you're doing
True.
is great and is definitely very, very needed. And yeah, because of the awareness you've created, I've always, made sure my younger nieces and stuff like are aware, and like if they need help or they have a friend who needs help, they know what to do, right?
That's wonderful, Kate.
Yeah, because I mean we didn't know this growing up, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
what we can the only change we can make is to make sure the next generation has that
Next
knowledge and that
generation.
power
Yeah.
to not have to go through the same thing.
Yeah. True. True.
So thank you for doing this. I really appreciate. And whenever it is that you do decide to, you know, take that up and create something out of it, whether it's a website, whether it's a platform, whatever it is, let me know, and I'd love to support you in whatever way I can.
Of
Uh,
course.
if you're a
Thank you.
listener who either knows somebody going through something that is, painful periods, or if that's you, and if you would like to, get in touch with Ketki and just ask her a few questions or be pointed towards the right resources, I'll be leaving her LinkedIn in the show notes, and you can go check that out and get in touch with her. But yeah, Ketki, do you have any message for these, bunch of people? They could be dads whose daughters are going through something like that, or women who are going through that themselves. What would you like to say to them?
I think, I'm not sure if it's one general message that that can apply to everyone, but I just know that it's not in your head, or that woman's head. It's not in, they're not imagining it. It's very much real. It very much needs attention. So ensure that they get medical attention, the right medical attention. There's resources online. You can look at, you can look at that, or you can get in touch with me, and I can point out those websites, or those doctors to you. But yeah, it's not in their head. It's very much real.
On that note, it brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much, Ketki, for walking us through product management, your career journey, and especially this last bit of spreading awareness and helping people. I really appreciate that you took the time to do this. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kate, for having me. It was a lovely chat.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support and you all being here. I'm on a mission to get 100 listeners on Spotify, and I'd really appreciate it if you all can share, like, and go follow me on Spotify as well. It does mean a lot. I have a lot of exciting episodes coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you're subscribed, tune in regularly, and keep those ideas brewing until I see you next time on Marketing Over Chai. This is Kate signing off.